What's going on? Welcome to episode 4 of the Success series. This one is on understanding and patience, so stay tuned for that. Like always, if you haven't yet, hit the like button, smash the subscribe, turn on your bell notifications, so that way you get notified whenever these beautiful vlogs drop, alright? And let's jump into it, brother. Patience and understanding. I don't know what side is what, but I have both patience and understanding tattooed in Latin in the back of both of my ears, vertically. And I think that they're super important to me. They have been. It's funny because they weren't as important when I got them tattooed as they have become over time. They always meant something to me, but I think as time has progressed and as time has gone on, they've meant more and more to me, for the simple fact that I've understood the meaning on a much deeper level of both of them, right? The irony, I understood the meaning of understanding. But no, for real though, understanding, let's start off with understanding. Understanding is very important to be understanding because there's so many different situations that you have to be understanding, and there's situations where someone is reacting poorly to you, or someone is treating you poorly, or something isn't going your way. There's so many different times, and it's just understanding, meaning you need to understand that not everything is going to go the way you want it to, step by step. Most things won't go the way you want them to. They'll happen in a different way, in a different timeline, which ties in with patience, but they're going to happen in a different way, in a different timeline, in different steps, and most often than not, it's going to be a lot more rewarding the way that it does happen, and it'll end up being a lot better the way that it does happen, as opposed to the way that you wanted it to happen, right? You need to be understanding when somebody is having a bad day that they might be going through something that they haven't told you about, or even if it's a stranger and they react poorly to you, they gave you the finger in the road, they have road rage, they told you off, they honked their horn. Be understanding enough to not judge that person, and know that that person may have just got a call that they got fired from work. That person may be late to work and they may get fired if they don't show up on time, and there could have been an accident that held them up. Their kid could have woken up late or been sick and it's making them run behind to work, or they could have just lost a family member, or they could have just got bad news about their health, or they may be behind on their bills and their mortgage is due, and now they're gonna get evicted because they haven't been paying their mortgage. There's so many different things that can cause a situation, and majority of them were unknown. They're unknown to us, right? So we need to have understanding in every single situation possible. Today, for example, I have OCD. For those of you who don't know, I have OCD, and that's why my place is so organized and clean all the time. But my whole entire life, today is actually one of the first times that I haven't reacted to this situation, but my entire life has been an accumulation of anytime I mess something up, or I spill something, or I make a mess, or anything just along those lines. Like, I've dropped a glass of wine before and I started freaking out. I told my dog to go to his bed so that way he wouldn't walk in the glass or step in the wine, and I was panicking and getting anxiety because there was wine everywhere and there was glass everywhere, instead of just like understanding that like the situation has happened and I need to just deal with it now, and me getting upset isn't going to fix it. But today I have candles around my place, and I knocked over a candle. I was doing something with it and I knocked it over, and the wax splattered everywhere. And anybody that's dropped a candle before, a lit candle, knows how messy wax is, how hard it is to clean, because it just hardens. If you try cleaning it when it's still wet, it just smudges everywhere and it becomes an even bigger disaster. And when you're trying to clean it when it's already hardened, it's very difficult to come off. You have to literally like scrape it off of anything that it's on. Or you know what, so it happened, I dropped the candle, wax was literally everywhere. I was supposed to start working out in like 10 minutes. And I'm a person that's I like working off a routine, because I like being able to get as much done in a day as possible. So I spilled the candle, I had my music on, I was jamming out, and I was like, you know what, let me pause for a sec before I react and get upset. I told my dog to go to the washroom because I obviously don't want him walking in candle wax, so he went to his bed and hung out in there. And I was just like, you know what, just like wait a few minutes, wait like 1-2 minutes for the wax to dry up completely. I boiled water in the meantime because that's the only thing that I could think of that was going to help me clean candle wax off of literally everything in my kitchen. I boiled water, I poured it on, and I would like scrape it off with a spatula in the meantime, like while I was pouring the water on it. And instead of reacting and getting anxiety and getting upset and potentially ruining the rest of my day, I was just understanding enough to say, you know what, this has happened. I'm gonna accept that this has happened. I'm not gonna let this ruin my day. I'm not going to let this ruin the next hour, even the next 5 minutes. I'm just gonna let it go. It's happened. Me getting upset isn't going to make it not happen and stop it from happening. So I just accepted it. I understood the situation that I was faced with. I dealt with it the best way possible. I got it done. I cleaned up. I worked out. I did what I had to do, so on and so forth, right? So I was understanding enough to just accept the situation that I was in the position that I was in, and that I was going to have to work out a little later, and that I was going to have to clean up instead of doing something else that I was going to do during that time period, and so on and so forth, right? So there's so many different times that we need to be understanding. In trading, you need to be understanding that not every trade is going to go in the direction that you want it to. Not every trade is going to go, it might go in your direction, but it might take longer than you anticipated it to based on your analysis. With a business, you might have a business plan and say, well, I want this to happen in this way, and this way, but it may not always happen that way. And that's where patience comes in, right? You need to be understanding and also patient at the same time and say, well, you know what? Okay, fine. It's not happening as fast as I want it to. It's happening, maybe not in the speed that I want it to, but I'm going to be patient and I'm just going to let it unfold the way that it's supposed to. Because again, most times the way the universe or God or whatever it is that you believe in, the plan that is already made for whatever you're doing is going to be much sweeter and a lot better than whatever you had planned it out to be and the way you wanted it to be. Be present in the moment, and the more patient and understanding you are, the easier and less reactive you become to things. Nothing can really trigger you anymore. Nothing that anyone says will trigger you, because you know that if anyone ever speaks poorly to you, 99% of the time it comes from an insecurity within themselves. It comes from something that they don't like about themselves that they're projecting onto you, which is not yours to deal with. It's not your issue, right? Like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I don't care what anybody says about me. I don't care what anyone thinks about anything that I do. I know my intentions with every single thing that I do. Literally every single thing that I do, I know my intentions behind it. So I'm not worried about what somebody else thinks, because I'm understanding enough to know that, like, you know what, I know myself better than anybody else, and that's all that really matters, right? So when somebody reacts a certain way, I've also learned about humans enough to know why somebody's doing something that they're doing, and probably even the next thing that they're going to do before they even know that they're going to do it. So I've learned to be so understanding to a point that nothing really triggers me. I don't get upset about anything anymore, and if I do get upset, it's maybe for like 5-10 minutes, if that, and then like I'll end up forgetting about it because I'll get distracted with something. And I'm just patient in the process of learning. I'm patient in the process of growing. I'm patient in the process of becoming my best self. I'm patient in the process of becoming the best trader that I can be, the best friend that I can be, the best son that I can be, one day the best father and best husband that I can be. And even still, to like right now, I'm not in a relationship. I'm not married. I don't have kids, but my dog, you guys have seen him on previous vlogs. He has taught me so much. He has taught me so much understanding and so much patience, because you're interacting and communicating with another living being that you spend a good portion of your life with, like lengthwise. Throughout the day, I'm pretty much with them. Anytime that I'm home, I'm with them, right? They teach us, if you observe long enough and in depth enough, they teach us a lot about understanding and patience, because you need to be patient in the process of teaching them right from wrong. They don't understand English. So you need to you're actually also teaching them a language, because you're teaching them things or phrases or actions based on the language that you speak. It may not even be English, but based on the language that you speak, you're now teaching them how to operate based off of what you're saying in a language that they don't know, a language that they don't speak, a language that is foreign to them. So not only are they having to learn a new language, but they're now having to imagine you growing up and your parents speak a different language, but they never teach you that language. Like you're not brought up learning that language. That's not your first language. So say as a human being, we're programmed, like dogs are programmed to speak dog, whatever the fuck dog is. Say as a human, you're programmed to only speak English, and now but your parents don't speak English. Your parents only speak another language. So now you know this one language, but now you need to, as a kid, you need to now decipher what it is that they're saying, and like pretend you're pre-programmed with English. Like you know everything about English. So you only know how to talk in English, but now they're saying jump in a different language, and you don't know that language. So you need to learn that language, and now you need to understand what it is that they're saying, and you need to correlate and put together what they're saying with whatever it is they want you to do, right? So that's where patience comes in, and keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you understand that they're gonna make mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes. And he has taught me so much. He has taught me, I backtracked before my little tangent just now, but I don't have kids yet. To me, he's my child. He's literally my child to me. He's my son. But he helps me prepare. He's literally fast-tracked me through so much that I would have had to learn when I have a kid, and I'm probably going to still learn when I have a kid and experience when I have a kid. But he's allowed me to grow as an individual and as a being, and have such a higher level of understanding and patience for other beings around me, that they don't operate the same way I do. They don't think on the same way that I do, or on the same level that I do, or do the same things that I do, and so on and so forth. So being understanding and patient, I think those two together are probably going to be the most valuable out of any episode in this whole series, which again, it's why those two words are tattooed on my neck. They've been tattooed on the side of my head or my neck for years now. And again, as time goes on, they become more and more relevant to my life, because as time goes on, I just become less reactive, and I become more understanding to people. You don't know the situation that they're in, and just being patient, whether it's with trading, my fitness, my health, businesses, business ideas, any single thing that I do, I'm just patient and understanding that I know that if I keep doing it, eventually the result that I want is going to come. So I just have to understand that these little roadblocks and these little obstacles and these little humps are just things that I have to experience on the way, and they're going to make me that better version of myself and the best version of myself to when I get to where I want to be, and be able to operate at the highest level possible whenever I get there, right? So I implore you to, and there's so many different ways to become more patient and understanding. It's just becoming more observant, really. And I think that meditation helps with that a lot, because the more we learn about ourselves, the more we learn about the outer world and everything that's around us and everyone around us, and just even strangers. You can look at a person and understand so much about them without even knowing anything about them. But I hope that this was informative. I hope this brought some sort of enlightenment to you, and maybe some education, to maybe focus on becoming more patient and understanding in your own personal lives, with the people around you, with the situations that you're in, and not giving up on something that maybe you're working on because it's not happening as quick as you want it to, and being more patient and understanding that as long as you keep putting in the effort, as long as you keep doing the work, that eventually it will pay off and you will get to where you want to be. I hope you enjoyed the vlog. I will see you on episode 5 of the Success Series. On that note, take care, brush your teeth, and comb your hair. Ciao, ciao.